AITA for calling my wife a helicopter mom after she called the place my son applied at. My son James just turned 16 this month and he decided he wanted to start working a part-time job. Just to have some extra spending money and to start saving up. He hasn't had much luck. I doubt many places are interested in hiring a teen with limited hours to work. James started to get annoyed with my wife after he found out she submitted a few applications for him. We had a whole talk about that and reminded her that James wants to do this job hunting on his own. Over a week ago James applied at this local clothing store he likes to shop at since he's familiar with the place. He was told the usual line when he spoke to the hiring manager. "We'll review your application and give you a call." He was really hoping to get this one, but after a week, he figured they were not gonna call. Earlier when I got home there was some tension. James was locked in his room and my wife seemed upset. I spoke to him first and he told me my wife called the store earlier and berated the hiring manager for giving my son false hope and lying to him about giving him a call when they clearly weren't going to. James heard the call from upstairs because she was yelling, and when he confronted my wife she said she was just angry on his behalf, that they should have called him anyways to let him know he didn't get the job. But obviously they are only going to call applicants they actually plan to hire. He's angry at my wife right now for interfering, and now he's going to be too embarrassed to go to that store again since they know who he is. I also confronted my wife and she kept saying she was only looking out for him. However good her intentions were. I told her she needed to stop being a helicopter mom here or she could ruin opportunities for him by interfering. My wife went to our room and shut the door. James wants an apology from her for embarrassing him. My wife says she did nothing wrong and is mad at me for calling her that. She said I was the one being an ass for not caring if our son finds a job, and it's not fair for me to criticize her when she at least gives a damn. With the way she's being right now, I have to ask if maybe I went too far and was an asshole for calling her a helicopter mom. NTA. What your wife accomplished is everyone knowing your son as the guy whose mom calls and berates the manager for not hiring the guy. What did she actually want to accomplish with her little shouting match? Angry on behalf of the son? Nah. That's a load of bull. She is actively interfering in your son's life, making her a helicopter parent. NTA. One call from a parent will send any teen's application to the bin. She owes your son an apology and needs to step back. NTA. Kid has basically zero chance of getting that job now. She went too far. NTA. She is being a helicopter mom. And the fact is that they could very well have been going to call him. My last job took 3 weeks to call me for an interview. And even if they don't hire him now, he could have tried again if she hadn't sabotaged him. She's robbing him of potential job opportunities with her help, and she needs to stop. At least your son recognizes that his mother is way out of line. That saves you the worry that he will grow up to be weak and scared because of an overbearing mother. Phew. NTA. NTA. No employer will want to hire your son with your wife sticking her nose in. And word does get around. Your wife is totally 100% the here. NTA. Your wife probably ruined other jobs he applied for too. She just wasn't caught. Hold strong on this for James. Where does her help end? Will she be there for the interviews? Help him work a shift? Talk to customers on his behalf? Then what's next? His mom helping him date girls? Poor James. Your wife is wrong. At this age he doesn't need mommy to yell at the bad people. He needs advice on how to handle it himself. He could have called to check. But it was not her place. NTA. NTA. Your son asked your wife not to interfere. And she interfered anyways. We had a whole talk about that and reminded her that James wants to do this job hunting on his own. He's angry at my wife right now for interfering, and now he's going to be too embarrassed to go to that store again since they know who he is. She was talked to, presumably agreed, and still interfered. Your wife needs to realize that your son is going to be an adult soon. And that if she keeps this up, he may very well decide he wants nothing to do with her once he is an adult. She blatantly and knowingly disrespected and violated a boundary you and your son set with her. And she embarrassed him on top of that, to the point he's afraid to go to a store he loves because she acted in such a childish fashion. I also confronted my wife and she kept saying she was only looking out for him. No, she wasn't. Looking out for him would be mentioning places that she saw were hiring, or offering advice for his resume and for interviews. Looking out for him would be doing things that were inherently helpful. The only thing she did by doing what she did was upsetting and embarrassing her son, and making sure that if he was being considered for the job, there's no chance of it happening now. She did not help in any way, shape, or form. She interfered after she was asked not to. She is not helping or looking out for him when her help was explicitly asked not to be given. She is interfering in a way that could damage his reputation and harm his ability to get a job elsewhere in the future should word spread about her little stunt. If she cares about your son, she will listen to his request to not interfere or provide her help, instead of steamrolling over his no because she thinks she knows better. He said no. She needs to respect that. NTA. You need to work out how to get through to your wife or James has no hope of getting a job. I have worked for 2 different organizations where we employed teenagers. I can tell you that one phone call from a parent and his application would be in the bin even if he were the preferred applicant. I used to manage a place where most of my employees were high school age. I would be entirely put off by a parent calling to yell at me. If a parent picked up or turned in an application for their kid, they were an instant no hire. I had to tell one parent several times, "This is your daughter's job. If she is having issues, she needs to come to me herself. You are not my employee and I will not speak with you about your daughter's job in any capacity. She needs to tell you her schedule. She needs to tell me if there is a conflict. And she needs to decide for herself if she can handle the job or not." I grew to resent that employee because her mom wouldn't get off my back after expressing to her several times that she needed to back off. Your wife is actively hurting your son's attempts to be independent and get a job of his own. NTA. Absolutely NTA. As someone who works in career advice and employment support, I can confirm that if that store was ever going to consider your son in the future, they won't ever consider him now. I'm afraid your wife ruined his chances. Her actions were rude and inappropriate. Employers do not want to deal with overbearing parents, and they won't hire someone whose parents call in on their behalf. Your son deserves an apology. NTA. You're right, your wife is being a helicopter mom. There was a story on here a while back where a hiring manager had a mom call him for either her son, daughter. He told her that she was causing their child to not get hired at his job. You're doing the right thing. Your wife is seriously overstepping here with your son. She owes you both an apology. NTA. Your wife shouldn't have interfered. And now he has 100% no chance of ever working there. The three of you need to have a civil discussion of how he wants to do this on his own. By all means, you and your wife can support him. But when it comes down to it, your wife needs to understand that she can't protect him forever and he needs to learn about the world before he enters it unprepared. NTA. They will literally never hire him now. No. You did not go too far. You were absolutely right to say that. Sometimes you have to be this honest in order for someone to hear. The fact that she's mad probably says she knows you're right and she does owe your son an apology. NTA. NTA. This is the millionth story that I've read of moms ruining their child's admission chances into jobs or colleges. I'm sure you're aware that if a job doesn't call you after a week, you call for a follow-up. Maybe they were busy or maybe they weren't considering your son as much. But a follow-up is always good. Your wife most likely ruined that now. She's definitely being a helicopter mom and that's sometimes hard to accept. Her intentions were good and I would do the same if I lived in a hypothetical world. I'm sure you both raised a decent kid. And her job as a mom will shine. Just give it some time. He'll land a good job. He'll have a good life. It'll happen. Hopefully. But for now, she needs to sit back and let her son handle himself in this world. NTA. What she did was completely uncalled for, especially since they didn't give him a specific day. They'd return the call if he was chosen. Not only did she potentially ruin his chance for that job, she might have screwed him over with other employees. People talk. Especially when a parent goes overboard as she did. I wish your son luck in his job hunt. But he may have to search far afield because of his mom's freak out. NTA. Tip for job hunting that might help your son. If he doesn't hear back for a few days, he should give them a polite call, email to check up on his application. Hiring managers may take this that he's keen and it might just tip the scales in his favor if they have a lot of candidates. I know a number of people who got the job after calling to check the status of their application. It doesn't always work, but at least he'll know either way and it can't hurt to show that he's still interested. In addition to harming opportunities for him. And how gross it is to make the complaint that she did to that hiring manager. She is also eroding his trust in her, eroding his impulse to take personal responsibility for getting himself a job, sending him the message that she thinks he cannot succeed on his own. NTA. Mom needs to step back and see that she's handling this in a horrendous manner.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.